What's up, Taiwan? I'm Laurel Stewart with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. We start off in northern Taiwan, where prosecutors have indicted a Chinese man who turned up in a speedboat back in June. The case raised doubts about Taiwan's coastal defences. Louise Watt is live for us in Taipei with the latest. Louise, what has the man been charged with?
Laurel, prosecutors say they've charged him with entering the country illegally. They say that he sailed from a port in Fujian province in southeast China all the way to northern Taiwan, and they say he did so for personal reasons. They didn't say what those personal reasons were. So there's still a lot of questions around this case. And if you remember back in June when this case happened, when on one Sunday morning his speedboat turned up at a tourist harbour, it caused quite an outcry. Firstly, because the Coast Guard didn't stop him until he reached shore, and also because he'd entered the mouth of the Danshui River. Now that leads to Taipei and the presidential office and other government institutions, and it's long been considered an area vulnerable to a surprise Chinese attack. Now, it also caused a stir because the man at the time, he was 60 years old, and reports said that he told investigators he was fleeing persecution in China. He said he'd written anti-government comments on messaging apps. But the Coast Guard administration, they very quickly painted him out to be essentially a Chinese spy. They said that he used to be a captain in the Chinese Navy, and they said he could have been testing Taiwan's defenses, its ability to spot smaller vessels. China, for its part, said the incident was a personal action, and they said Taiwan's government was politicizing it. So back to today, and prosecutors say they found no crimes related to national security, but they do say they're still working with police and national security agencies to investigate further. So maybe more will result from this case, a case that has been embarrassing for Taiwan because of the questions it's raised about its ability to defend its coasts.
Thanks, Louise. That was Louise Watt reporting live for us from Taipei. 27 Chinese military aircraft and 12 Navy ships have been spotted operating around Taiwan in the last 24 hours. The Defense Ministry says 19 of the aircraft crossed the median line between the countries and entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This is not Taiwan's sovereign territory, but is used as a defensive buffer. Taiwan's military says it put defensive forces on standby in response. The military plans to decommission aging tanks, armoured vehicles and jets to save on maintenance costs. But some say this could leave gaps in Taiwan's defence. John Van Trieste reports.
It's the end of the road for a range of old military hardware that's draining the defense budget with maintenance costs. Within 5 years, 3 pieces of aging equipment will be pulled from service. The savings are projected to break $99 million. In the case of the F-5 fighter jet, a replacement is already waiting in the wings, Taiwan's homegrown Brave Eagle trainer jet. But as for the other 2 pieces of equipment to be retired, what comes next is less clear. The military says it has plans.
面对敌情威胁的状况之下，怎么样去从不管是不对称的建军，或者是我们传统兵力的一个需求，来去维持一个适当的比例。那么目的就是要确保我们整体的国家安全。
But for now, military experts can only guess what those plans might be. The M14D tank, which has been in service for over 60 years, is especially important. It's deployed to what might be the front line in a Chinese invasion, the Taiwan-governed island of Liuyu, just off China's coast. Light tactical vehicles have been floated as a good replacement if they're equipped with anti-armor capabilities, but not everyone holds that view.
因为目前所谓的中型战术轮车它的其实的越性能说的不是很好。那你如果说要用中型战术轮车搭载这个弹药去运补前线的话，其实反而会造成我们二线部队一些伤亡。
And when it comes to the Taiwan-built CM-24 armored artillery tractor, there are no obvious candidates in sight. With Chinese threats to take Taiwan backed up with regular incursions, the question analysts have is how the military will fill this gap. Chris Ma and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
It's International Memorial Day for Comfort Women. Taiwan is remembering the countless women who were forced into sex work by Japan during World War II. As Rick Glowett reports, gender rights advocates are now calling on the government to make sure the abuses these women suffered are not forgotten.
It's the one day a year dedicated to comfort women, the tens of thousands who were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during World War II. Here in Taipei, activists and politicians have gathered at this museum dedicated to the 2,000 Taiwanese women that suffered such sexual exploitation. They're encouraging people not to forget the atrocities.
被骗，原来是要去当护士，要去当看护，要去当食堂的工作的人，最后变成是慰安妇。然后在离岛上，他根本无处可逃，但是回国后，所有的人都唾弃他们，他不敢讲，甚至连家人都没有办法接纳他们。
特邦要有慰安妇军事性奴隶事件。
The last known woman to suffer sexual slavery at the hands of the Japanese in Taiwan died last year. And now there are calls for their stories to be included in school textbooks and for more memorials and museums. Pointing to ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, people here say that women continue to suffer during war. This museum and the memorial is a testament to the abuses of the past in the hope that they won't continue in the future. John Su and Rick Glowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Hospital services are being disrupted across India as doctors walk off the job in protest of the rape and murder of a trainee medic. The body of the 31-year-old medical resident was found inside a government-run hospital in Kolkata last week. A police volunteer has been arrested in connection with her murder. A high court in Kolkata has ordered the investigation be transferred to the national law enforcement authorities. But the thousands of doctors who have taken to the streets say they won't leave until there is justice for the victim and better workplace safety.
हमारे जब तक मांगे पूरी नहीं हो जाती, जो मेन मांगे वो यही है कि सीबीआई प्रोब हो, एक रीजनल लोग नहीं देख रहे उस ड्यूटी में, सेंट्रल प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट जो डॉक्टर के लिए है वो लागू हो, एंड जो रियल कल्प्रिट्स हैं उनको पकड़ा जाए.
Kiribati is heading to the polls in a vote that will determine the future of the current pro-China government. The Pacific Island nation, located northeast of Australia, has 45 parliamentary seats up for election. It's a process that often takes months. The election comes at a crucial time for the country, which is facing inflation and increased scrutiny over deepening relations with China. Kiribati President Trainee Mau Mau, who has held power for over a decade, broke ties with Taipei in favour of Beijing in 2019. The election has brought heavier restrictions on foreign visitors, including a decision not to accept Taiwanese passports, according to Taiwan's foreign ministry. Japan is set for a new leader after Prime Minister Kishida Fumio announced he will not seek re-election as the head of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. 67-year-old Kishida is expected to step down as Prime Minister after 3 years at the helm, when the party elects a new leader in September. Kishida's approval ratings have plummeted amid a corruption scandal within his party, the rising cost of living, and a slumping yen. British street artist Banksy has completed a series of animal-themed artworks around London. As Chris Gorin reports, the murals are bringing a little joy to a country on edge.
This painting on the gate of the London Zoo depicts a gorilla and several other animals eager to escape. It's the grand finale in a series of animal-themed artworks produced over the past 8 days by British street artist Banksy. London Zoo staff say they're excited to have the world-famous artist's work on their gate, and that despite what's taking place in the image, no gorillas have ever attempted the act.
No, and certainly haven't had a gorilla escape. So all the gorillas here perfectly happy in their lovely home at Gorilla Kingdom. They've got air conditioning today whilst we're all out here sweating, I hasten to add. So the gorillas are having a great time.
The series began with this mountain goat in London's Richmond neighborhood and has been followed by a number of others in different parts of the city. The artist has not commented on the meaning of the works, but some locals think the timing may not be a coincidence. The UK has recently seen its worst public unrest in a decade, with violent anti-immigration riots across the nation led by far-right groups, as well as large counter-protests against the rioters. And safety has been an issue with these artworks too. This howling wolf painted on a satellite dish was stolen in broad daylight within hours of its debut. This black cat painted on an empty billboard was quickly taken down by the sign's owner. He said he wanted to keep it safe and would donate it to a gallery. But most locals are just happy to see the artworks during such a fraught time.
I came in person to say thank you to Banksy for acknowledging and recognising who we are as a community in Walthamstow, and that we wanted actively to stand together with our neighbours and tell those people who spread hatred and racism and Islamophobia they're not welcome here.
It's just nice to have something that is internationally recognised near us, and I think as well with the marches that we had, like it's an area that's so diverse, everyone showing real solidarity. It's nice that we've had this week.
Whatever the artist's intentions, Banksy's new series seems to be bringing a little more life to the UK when it's most needed. Patrick Chun and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
A growing number of US senior citizens are signing up for classes on AI, both to feed their curiosity about new developments and to learn how to protect themselves from scams. John Van Trieste has this report.
89-year-old Barbara Winston takes careful notes at a special lecture for senior citizens. She's one of a growing number of older Americans who've become fascinated with AI technology. As the demand to know more spreads, classes like this one are opening across the United States.
The technology is so interesting and so important that I really felt I need to be better informed about it. So this is the beginning of my education.
There are several reasons for this interest among senior citizens. One is a desire to keep up to date with developments in the world.
I think this is an emerging technology. Older adults are future-oriented. They want to know what's going on.
While there's wonderment in all things AI can do, there's also a need to educate older adults about the sophisticated new tools scammers use to target them. The American Association of Retired Persons, or AARP, says Americans over 60 are scammed out of $23.8 billion a year through various schemes. These may involve voice cloning and other technological tricks.
It's tricky to kind of find that right balance. I would say overall, that suspicion that's there on the part of seniors is good, but I don't want them to become paralyzed by their fears and not be willing to do anything online because they're afraid of their identity getting stolen.
Not everyone feels the need to go jump on ChatGPT or play with AI image generators once these classes end.
I do want to know how to use it. I want to understand it, but it's like a lot of other things. I like to understand it, but it's not for me.
But everyone leaves with an appreciation for a technology that may well radically change the world. Leon Lien and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Hosts of a gender reveal party in central Taiwan could face a fine after announcing their child's sex in a particularly loud way. Fireworks and pink smoke were set off at a popular family restaurant, catching other restaurant goers off guard. Some of them reportedly fled in fear at the sudden noise and approaching pink cloud. The Environmental Protection Bureau is investigating whether the actions violated air pollution laws, and if so, the hosts could be fined up to $155,000 US. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this park in central Bosnia, recreating Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. I'm Laurel Stewart. Take care and see you next time.